Hi, Twitch.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching GEEKCASTER. Everything sci-fi, fantasy, geek culture, and pop culture commentary. That's a lot. But this is a special episode. We're talking about mental wellness. So this is part 2. So if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching at geekcaster.com or IG, look for the other part to this, part 1. You definitely want to start with part 1, then go to part 2. If you're watching this on cable, hopefully you saw last week, part 1. Otherwise, oh well, here's part 2. This is what you get. That's what you get for not watching this every week. So there you go. Now don't be depressed about it. Just, you know what you do for the future. You need to watch every episode. That's what you need to do. So we're all sharing different things having to do with mental wellness. And this particular episode, different tricks of the trade of this life experience that we've experienced or tried out to make it an easier road. The bottom line is everybody has their own path. Everyone has their own road. Everyone has their own beliefs, ways of life, things they like, things they don't like, and things that have happened to all of us as individuals. Also, you could have a quote-unquote, on paper, perfect life. All these things are irrelevant to depression. I mean, obviously things could happen and make things worse. I mean, hey, if you lose a toe, you might be depressed. But maybe you didn't lose anything. And you still, so, and I think, at least from my humble understanding, right, again, this is not, I'm not an expert at this whole thing, but it has been said that chemical imbalances, which through medication help to balance things out, as well as just separate from anything physical, emotional challenges and things that need to be confronted and be put to rest that people need to deal with can also affect individuals and have depression. So it's not a clean cut situation. And that's as far, again, from my understanding. Would you guys agree with those statements?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what has anyone in this little panel have ever done to kind of bring their spirits up and just try to make life more palatable? Yes, Dayveonne.
The way I did that was like, hi. Yeah. So, of course, I like to act silly. But also, if that doesn't help, I normally do play a lot of 70s and 80s music. From R&B to soul for some strange reason. I find that coping for some strange reason. Because you would think maybe pop music, maybe rock music, maybe rap music, but 70s and 80s R&B, classic soul, today's R&B type music. Like the OJs, like they have some depressive songs, but you know what songs that are pretty much uplifting and also get you in the groove. So, so those are my 2 coping mechanisms.
What you got, Phoenix?
Well, the first one's going to surprise you. It's not a coping mechanism, but it's something that changed my life dramatically. I went gluten-free, found out I'm like a little allergic to gluten. So, who knew? My mood improved, my energy improved, my health improved. And then I go to the gym like a couple times a week, and every time I go, I blow off steam, and it's great. Like, I just feel so much better, so much less anxious and stressed out. And also trying to manage stress by either reducing it or having good boundaries with people or with work, because it can be easy to get caught up in those things. And at the end of the day, if you're not taking care of yourself, who is? Besides that, really, really big fan of overall holistic health. I bang a bowl, and not the marijuana kind. Tibetan singing bowl. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of those.
Did you say you bang a bowl?
Yeah,
where it's like the.
I know what it is. I actually own 2. Got them. But I've never heard anyone say, "Hey, you know what I do? I bang a bowl." Like, I never heard anybody say that before. That's cool.
Bang a bowl too.
I've never heard of like that before.
Iberian bowl, smoking bowl, cereal bowl. You know.
I bang a bowl over there. Bang a bowl. That's funny.
Yeah, but yeah, be social. I feel like getting out of the house and taking a walk, talking to people is always gets you out of your head. It's nice to connect.
Carissa, what you got?
Okay. So I did change a lot of my diet. I've been trying to eat more of a plant-based lifestyle, and it's been very, very helpful. Also, I did notice my scale went back just a little bit. So, but your girl likes to eat, so believe me, I didn't go back that much. So, that was a big thing that helped me out a lot. I also started getting back to writing and journaling, and that was really helpful to me. Also, I did unfortunately have to pull back on therapy just because, bills, it happened. But having that is really helpful, even if you just go once a month.
Right.
And also what I've been doing is I have one journal specifically just for negative thoughts. And what I do is I either do it early in the morning, like as soon as I get up, or right before bed, where I'll just go nuts. Like anything that's bothering me, like as irrational as it could be, I just get it out. And sometimes when I read it, it's like, wait, is that thought warranted? Is that thought warranted?
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of puts it in perspective for me. It's not something I want anybody to read, obviously, but it's for me. Also, I've been getting into hiking a lot. I mean, granted, I had to take a step back because the weather got cold, but but that's been helping me out a lot because it gets me outside, gets a little vitamin D, and also gets me moving. Because just like Phoenix was saying, a lot of times that movement, that exercise is really helpful, and you get the dopamine in your body, as everybody else is saying too. So that's really a big help for me. And last but not least, I don't have as many friends as I did pre-COVID. However, the ones that I do that did stick around, those are the ones that I can talk to, that I can say, well, I'm feeling some kind of way. And the good part about it is that they feel the same with me. Like, one of my good friends is going through some stuff right now. I don't want to say her business on here, but, it's good to know that I can be there for her too. Oh, and last but not, one more thing, just because I know I babble a bit. Sometimes if you can't be strong for you, sometimes being strong for somebody else kind of makes you want to do what you got to do, even if you're dragging out about it. So sometimes if I know, like, my friend that's going through some stuff, she's got kids. A lot of times if she needs a break, I'll say, look, do you want me to come over and just, like, take the kids for a minute? Even if it's just for an hour.
Wow. And
if I can do that for her, it does me some good too. And plus, her kids are, a little energetic, so they make me laugh. So that helps also. Yeah.
I'm glad that you mentioned diet and exercise, because I think that a lot of people do not understand how powerful the food that you eat. There's a lot of chemical imbalances that are created just on the chemicals that are added. Because think about it. Look, how many kids these days are on something to keep them balanced at school? Whether they're diagnosed properly or not properly. There's a lot of kids that gotta take stuff just to, and maybe if they didn't have the Fruit Loops in the morning and didn't drink things with fructose corn syrup in them.
I have to add something to that. One of my good friends, I have a few friends that are parents.
Right.
She suspected, because she's aware her husband has ADHD, that her daughter has ADHD. And at one point, she was doing some research because she was having some digestive issues herself. but it turns out I think it was red fire. It was some sort of red dye.
Oh, the red dye, yeah.
Supposedly, yes, I forget what it was off the top of my head, but it was some sort of red dye. Supposedly, let's just say enhances ADHD symptoms, and ironically, some of them are found in some of her husband's favorite candies. So, yeah, she's been obviously actively trying to get that out of her life, and it's been helping. I mean, granted, some things, it's more than just diet, obviously. And side note, I used to tell my patients if it was just a flip of the switch where all you had to do was take meds or all you had to do was one thing, I wouldn't have a job, because it's a lot of factors that go into to wellness.
Right. But that definitely makes a huge difference. That one ingredient. One ingredient that I mentioned. I don't want to say products because I don't want to get in trouble. Cancel culture, right? But that one product, I actually went through all the cupboards at home, and it was amazing how many things had fructose corn syrup in it that you wouldn't even think of, and that is not good for your nerves, your nervous system. It's not good for your brain. It's not good for a lot of different things. Yeah, I'm so glad that you guys mentioned that. I can't drive that home enough. Like, it's an interesting test too. I would say certain foods, let's say it that way, or certain products, stop using it for a little while. And then when you start taking it again, you feel the difference. If I drink something with fructose corn syrup in it, I could feel the difference. My nerves are a little weird, a little jacked. Yeah, that's the best way to thank you, Andrew. It's a little jacked. There was a thing where, and I'll say it this way because I don't want to go what Oprah went through, but there is a thing of individuals being allergic to meat. So not everybody, some people, but the thing about it is, and I think this was on NPR, and they were talking about it and how, like, you'll eat it and then 2 or 3 days later, something like your stomach, so you think that it was something you ate that day, but you realize that it was like 2 or 3 days ago. Because again, meat takes a while to process.
Right.
Like, you eat meat today, that's not out of you for a couple, I forgot how many days, but it takes a minute to get out. Yeah. So if you devour every day. So anyway, stuff to look at. I think everyone needs to do their own kind of personal experiments with your body and your wellness, because also some foods could add natural highs, but also could add natural lows. And then you add that with the chemicals with the foods. Obviously this is different than someone beat me when I was little or some other things that happened. There's so many other factors to people's lives, but if you just look at your life as a roadmap and as an experiment and just see how you feel. I think this is where the meditation thing comes into play, because I don't think we really, as a culture, take the time to see how we feel. Like, you know what I mean? Like, really just, how do I feel today? Like, for real. After I ate whatever I ate, or, bought this or bought that, which is going to bridge to another conversation, because, Andrew, you said something huge, and I'm trying to remember that with dopamine, but let me just finish this thought. It's just to take time to really know your interactions of what you're doing, and that can help. Especially if you take control of it when times are good, because when you're in a deep depression, and I know what that is, I've from personal experience, that you don't see your way out of it. Mm-hmm. You don't see anything. It's like you don't see anything. That's something that people, if you haven't experienced it, you won't understand. But I think it's when times are good, that's the times to do the experiment. That's the time to, like, all right, I'm riding like here, I'm not down there. How do I keep this going and maybe bring it higher? But anyway,
Okay.
dopamine. Now we know social media is destroying our dopamine levels. How do we combat that? Because there's a bunch of people depressed, not only with Andrew, what you were saying as far as like money and bills and all those stresses, normal things of life, but not getting the likes, not getting the acceptance that they feel that they deserve, or because they watch other people, they feel that I want that, I'm not getting that, so my life's cruddy. How do we combat social media?
And it's not even that. It's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of it. Another part is we feel the need to comment on other people online.
Interesting.
And go on these unnecessary arguments that take so much stress and energy away from you. And you know who you are, because I've dealt with that many times. You go into an argument, it's like a back and forth. Next thing you know, you're calling each other's names, and it keeps on continuing until Facebook bans you or something like that.
Right.
Because there's a lot of things that's been going on in the world today, and let's face it, there's so many topics that we could discuss about that we're for or we're against. And it's like the wild, wild west when it comes to social media. And all it takes is someone to say something that you don't like that make you feel, you know what, I'm going to try to crush this guy's day. And they thought they used that as a coping mechanism. And so over time, when they get back to you and you get stuck on that comment, you can't even function at work at times, right? Without trying to get back at them or whatever the case may be. So we need to limit ourselves in terms of social media. We need to limit ourselves from looking at anything on our phones, on our computers. And you know what? It may be tough for a lot of people, especially me included. Maybe we need to get away from gaming as well, too. Sometimes, I'm not saying that not playing video games is unhealthy. What I'm saying is that if you're playing a certain game for 15 hours straight, chances are that's not going to be that healthy.
Well, you know what? This is the thing. There's two sides to that. My quick half of my brain, the quick reaction to what you just said was, there are some people that their dreams are squashed, so they gotta squash other people's dreams. Like their lives are pretty, so they have to quickly attack. But then there's also this like Oprah / Dr. Phil, Dr. Oz beast of a generation where everyone knows everything and they feel they need to comment to everything.
Everyone's sensitive. Exactly. Everyone feels that they're right and everyone else is wrong.
Right. But but there's a third thing. But hold it. Wait a minute. To be fair now, if you put yourself out there, like I'm sure we're gonna get some comments about this.
Right.
Who are you?
We will.
Well, that's when you gotta start bringing out the degrees you think people don't have and be like, well, I kind of know something.
Let me whip out my...
Let me get, it's like you talk about acting or like something.
I gotta add something real quick if you don't mind.
And then you start bringing out like, I know a little something about something. You start bringing out the Oscars and be like,
It's triggers. It's all about managing your triggers. What gets you into that state where you just, you feel the way you feel. As soon as you recognize that particular trigger, you can figure out ways to manage that.
But should you be triggered though? The fact, like, if you post anything, are we the fact that you post something, should you already have a wall up that someone might say something based on what you said, and is that par for the course?
Now, keep in mind, it's not just what you do online. It could be, say, you're listening to a Christmas song. Listen, it's just a season right now, right? I mean, Thanksgiving's a few days away. Christmas is around the corner. There are many of us, me included, who are usually alone at Christmas. And sometimes even simple Christmas songs put you in a sad place because you remember what it was when you was young and you have your family with you and you enjoy Christmas. And then fast forward to where you are now, you're alone. Most of your friends are either away or you're not, coping with them. One of your parents passed away or whatever the case may be, and you just don't have that feeling of being in the Christmas spirit as you were before, and that could trigger depressive thoughts.
Well, I see that, well. Phoenix, you want to say something, but also say whatever you're going to say, but also can you bring it back to dopamine and social media somehow? Because I think social media is a huge, especially for people that are under 60. I mean, a lot of people are meeting people, getting married with people from online, dating somehow on an app, but also gaming. There's a lot of young people that are making money. So now it's not just likes for likes. Now it's like, well, this is my way to be a success. So I got to be famous online. And if I'm not famous online, I can't be successful. If I'm not successful, I won't have the house, the car, the relationship. It's a lot of pressure. It's not like. So go ahead, Phoenix.
Comparison is the thief of joy. Stop doing it. Stop comparing yourself. You're on your own journey, and that's unique to you, and it's special. And going off of Carissa and just the whole conversation altogether. Well, first of all, we all use our phones as kind of like pacifiers, right? We're like, okay, if I just go on my phone, then I don't have to feel these things or be awkward, and I can distract myself. I'm guilty. One of the tools is maybe just setting a timer for yourself. You can set timers on apps, or even just don't, maybe instead of going on social media first thing in the morning, maybe start with like a 5-minute, 10-minute guided meditation on Spotify instead, trade one thing for something a little bit more constructive. And another thing is just taking a step back and being like, well, why am I even doing this? Why am I going on social media? Am I doing it for attention, or am I doing it to push a brand, promote my friend, whatever? Am I building people up, or am I knocking people down? Because community-based leadership is really, I think, the only solution for a lot of our problems right now. And then back to there's something Carissa said that inspired something. The holidays are coming. There's so many opportunities to volunteer and be a part of our community, and that is proven to be helpful for you and everyone around you. And that sense of fulfillment and deeper meaning and connection, I think, is what a lot of people are truly looking for online, that you can only get really in person. A couple other things I wanted to mention was I did hold up a book called HBR's Must Reads on Mental Toughness. I found an app called Headway. It's free. You can download it. It's a cognitive behavioral therapy app. It's journaling based. It's free. And you can log your mood. You can type in kind of like a journal entry. It can be short and sweet or whatever. And you can say maybe you want to work on gratitude or something else. There are some paid components you can do, but it's a little bit more affordable. Yeah, Dayveonne, what do you think?
I think that's a great idea. I think that's a great solution to. Yeah, it's good. I really think it's a great idea. I really think a lot of us, well, for me, I can only say I use social media to promote and advertise as much as possible. I don't really get into those debates and arguments that people do because I'm a avoider. I'm a person that avoids stuff, so I'll be like, oh, okay, let me avoid this situation because this is red. No. And playing video games, that's why I put my hat like this, because there could be times where somebody be on the mic, and you wanna take the mic away from them, and you're like, oh my god, you suck, you're horrible, and you're like, yo, if this person don't shut up and just play the game.
Well,
Yes.
That's it. There's so much, especially when you're playing with people virtually. There's so much poison. There's so much negativity that.
Call of Duty.
I mean, you got to look at even the games you're playing. Like, are
Right.
you really fostering a channel to let go negative energy, or are you subliminally building up? Like Grand Theft Auto, it's not the most positive game in the world. Let's just be
it's
real.
not.
There's a lot of games that are not the most positive. So I think that Andrew, you made a good point. You got to look at the games you're playing. Look at the music you're listening to. What is the lyrical content? What is the vibe of the music? Is the music aggressive? These things can't be good all the way around.
Right.
It affects you. It affects your vibration.
Who amongst us decide to play like Call of Duty or GTA, because someone or something in our lives that day pissed us off so much that we just said to ourselves, I just want to commit acts of violence in an environment that is perfectly legal.
Oh,
And you know what?
That's honestly why I did boxing for a while.
That you do what?
I used to do some kickboxing for a while when I was really in an angry point in my life, and I still remember. I don't really want to go into what caused it, but I remember there was one time I got so wound up from somebody that I couldn't even fall asleep. And I remember what I did was I found that there was I would usually go to like the afternoon or the evening kickboxing classes, but I remember I couldn't sleep. I was just up. I couldn't control it, and I was like, you know what? I gotta let it. It's gonna hurt me if I keep it in. I went to this 5 a.m. kickboxing class, and I must have really beaten the crap out of that heavy bag. I remember the instructor was like, whoa, what's her name? What happened? But I felt better after that. I mean, it took a little time, and obviously I had to let it out, but it was in a constructive way. And I think as long as the mechanism, number one, does not hurt anybody, and it's in a constructive way where it's not going to hurt yourself either, because we have a lot of ways to self-sabotage. That's a good thing. And unfortunately, you can't do that all the time. Like, I can't beat something up for within an inch of its life all the time. You can't play Grand Theft Auto all the time or what have you.
Right.
But I think if we have that balance to know, like, okay, I need to let off steam in this manner, but all right, let's dial it back. Let's see why we're feeling this way. What got us to that level? That's a good thing. And also, because I know we were bringing it back to social media, there are some positives with social media. I think what we're doing right now is pretty positive. I mean, when I first started working in mental health, if somebody mentioned therapy, it was in a whisper. It was more like, like it wasn't the way we're talking about it now. I also found some communities where I even found a bike riding community in my neighborhood. I actually found like this gaming thing where like people would just get together every Sunday and play board games. I found a whole with social media. The problem is when you're doing something too much. There's a reason why they say everything in moderation.
Well, let's say this. I would like to do a part 3, and then that's it, and call it, because we do that, because we do have some more topics underneath this. So if you're watching us, thank you so much. You're watching GeekCaster. If you're on Twitch, just sit back, relax. We got one more segment to go. If you're watching us on cable, you gotta wait another week to round this out. Thank you, everybody, so much for riding with us. You're watching GeekCaster.